travelers.
Oh, sorry about that. Hey travelers, Millsy here, and this video will be a guide on how to locate those elusive S-class capital ships or freighters. Stick around and I'll show you where to go on your galaxy map to increase your chances on finding these ships, and we'll also go over some frigate information as well. The galaxy map. So I just want to note that this particular method worked for me, which I will prove to you in this video, but of course has related RNG in terms of what class ship spawns. The economy of each particular system is a big influence on this. Personally, I've found a few S-classes going to 3-star mercantile systems which are at war. Just note that this is no guarantee that an S-class will generate first in there. That's just what happened to me personally. When you warp into a system and there is a battle that is taking place and you like the look of that capital ship, which also note that the race of that system dictates the look of the capital ship, go directly to the space station, get out of your ship, and create an autosave point. Get back into your starship, be sure to kill all the enemy ships without doing damage to the freighter that you're trying to protect. Because once the battle is over, that ship will summon you to communicate with them, then give you navigational data to dock to their ship. When I say navigational data, I don't mean that you have to go and find it. You'll just see an icon on your screen to follow in order to dock. This footage I'm showing you is where I find an S-class, and it only took me about 15 minutes in this particular system. But again, keep in mind that results in time spent getting the S-class to spawn may vary. Once you've docked, you don't need to waste your time going to the commander and comparing your current ship to their ship. Or even if you don't have a ship, you don't need to go to the commander either. Instead, pull out your analysis visor after landing in the docking bay and look down. It will tell you the class of the ship. If you are adamant about only having an S-class, click options and reload autosave. Rinse and repeat until you get the class that you desire. Now that you went through all that effort to get your class S ship, you're going to want to turn your capital ship or freighter into a fleet. With this I mean recruiting frigates. So how do you recruit frigates? It's actually super simple. Anytime you warp into a new system, shortly after, there are a couple fleets of ships that warp in after you. There's a green icon over your HUD that you can follow. Once you get close enough to these ships, you're able to open up communication with them. They are essentially asking to join your fleet. At this point, you can inspect them. But how do you know which frigates to recruit? Let's go over some of the different types. Different frigate types include the support, combat, exploration, industrial, and trade. Frigates also have classes. The higher the class, the more they cost. But they also have better stats than lower classes. So with that being said, the higher stats leads to more loot you get from completing your expeditions. So obviously that means only buy A and S classes, right? Well, the answer to that is actually both yes and no. Yes, because if you find one, you don't have to level it up. Like I said, level it up. If you buy any other class besides A and S, just note that the more expeditions you send those on, their classes can go up. So essentially you can buy a C class and eventually, if sent on enough expeditions, will be an S class. So how do you know if you'll beat the expeditions you send your fleet on? Well, there is an expedition difficulty rating based on stars. You'll want to make sure that your fleet rating is at least 1 star above the expedition difficulty rating. Having all types of frigates is eventually good for expeditions, But in the beginning, I personally tried to focus more on combat, exploration, industrial, and trade frigates, as each of those frigates has had a stat tailored towards specific types of expeditions. Support frigates are like shuttle starships, good at a lot of things but master at none. Sometimes it could be beneficial to pick one up right away. For example, if you have an expedition that is a combat mission and you don't have enough combat ships to take you over the difficulty stars, adding in those support ships, since they have a balanced stat line, can get you over that hump. If you send your fleet of frigates on an expedition, there is a chance you'll get pinged by your frigate indicating it's damaged. At this point, you can recall your frigate or choose to continue with the expedition. If you choose to continue with the expedition, just note that that particular decision can result in a total loss of your frigate. If you recall your frigate and it's damaged, you can actually fly out of your freighter, fly to the damaged frigate, which will have a red icon, land, and repair. Once the expedition is complete, you get pinged again that your fleet is on the way back to your freighter or capital ship. At this point, you can return back to your capital ship's command station and debrief the expedition. Once the fleet returns, the loot received from that expedition will be transferred to your freighter or capital ship's inventory. I know I didn't go over upgrading your capital ships or appearance, but my next video will be a more in-depth look at what you can do with your new Class S capital ship that hopefully I helped you find. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and like the video. And as always, I'll see you on the next one, travelers.